Harvestella is one of the best JRPGs ever made. Why didn't it catch people's attention? Let's talk about it. Hey friends, it's Just the Gems. I'm Brandon, and gosh darn it, it's been too long since I talked about Harvestella on this channel. If you followed me for a while, you know there was a time there when I just wouldn't shut up about this game. It went from game I have absolutely no interest in to possibly my favorite game in record time. Seriously, it gave me whiplash. I had to see a chiropractor. It hurt. I stopped inundating the feed with it because, I don't know, I guess I didn't want to be annoying. But hopefully I have a bit of a bigger audience now than I did then, so I want to take this opportunity to let you know you might be sleeping on what could be a game you'll freaking love, and also get into why I think so many people might have decided to give it a pass. Here we go. I distinctly remember watching the Nintendo Direct where Harvestella was revealed. I thought it looked sort of interesting, but not like revolutionary. Definitely not a day one purchase by any stretch of the imagination. It read like a Rune Factory clone, and it came during a Nintendo Direct presentation that at least I remember being chock full of Rune Factory and Stardew Valley type clones. Which makes sense. Stardew Valley had come out a few years before, it sold like crazy, and all the executives were like, hey, we need a farming game, let's get on that. So all these games finished production around the same time, and they all dropped within months of each other. I don't know, I could be misremembering. Let me know if you recall that Direct any differently. But anyway, looking at that reveal trailer now, I'm like, holy crap, yes, that's the game I love so much. It's hard for me to put myself back in the shoes of silly, ignorant Brandon, now that I'm wearing the sandals of deep and enlightened Brandon. I honestly don't know how I didn't see this as the gem it was, but knowing the full story of this game's release and marketing, I know it wasn't just me that didn't see it for whatever reason. The quote from the trailer that I think did it to me, and I'm going to paraphrase it a bit, but it goes like this. In your life here, among the lush nature, you till the land, raise crops, and live alongside the bounty of the seasons. I'm positive I tuned out right then. I was passingly aware of some cool looking things happening on the screen, but I'd already marked this as a fantasy farming sim in my mind. I was not interested. I had too many other things to play, and I've never been drawn to fantasy farming sims, so I saw no reason that this game would change that. Looking at this trailer now, and all the pre-release footage in general, like I said, it's hard for me to separate my feelings about the game now from what I'm seeing. It looks amazing. It fills me with all sorts of warm memories of experiencing the game for myself. But at the time, I and a lot of other people heard only that this was a fantasy farming sim, and that was enough for us to tune out. Just the choice by Square to begin with such a seemingly innocuous focus on raising crops led to scores of people writing it off without any further thought. In a world where there are so many video games, that's just something we have to do sometimes. We have to create somewhat arbitrary cutoffs, reasons why we'll never play a particular game or type of game, because otherwise we'd just be constantly drowning in games. Well, even more so than we are now. The way we talk about games, the way we market them, it's so important, which I guess leads us naturally into... Let me read to you the description of Harvestella on Steam. Harvestella, an all-new life simulation RPG from Square Enix. Lead a life of self-sufficiency with your vibrant house as a base, and cooperate with allies to overcome various threats. That only describes Harvestella in the vaguest and least interesting sense. Yes, your house is pretty vibrant, I guess, and you do cooperate with allies to face threats. But you've used a lot of words to say basically nothing here. The marketing in general was severely misdirected. This was pitched to gamers as a farming or life simulation with RPG elements. It is not. It's a JRPG, and there are a few farming elements that are ultimately not all that important to the game. The way I've always described it was 90% JRPG, 10% farming. And you could probably get away with even less farming than that if you wanted to. So this is where the marketing direction just missed it. They tried to get farming sim fans fired up for this game, but it's not really for them. The hardcore JRPG fans stayed away because unless they also had a penchant for farming sims, they saw a game that was at its core a farming sim. Like I said, I had it pinned as a farming sim and turned off my interest entirely. So why did I suddenly decide to pick this game up? Simply because I learned who wrote the music. Go Shiina is one of my favorite composers, and once I learned he was involved, I pre-ordered the game right away. I figured, worst case scenario, I'd have a good soundtrack to listen to. I might even one day make a hidden gem type video about it, one where I mostly hype it up based on the music. And then, obviously, I fell in love with the game, and I can't help but think about how close I was to completely missing it. Lots of other people are not super weirdos that go out and buy a game they're not interested in just because of who wrote the music. So they didn't bother buying this one. But maybe others were just intrigued enough that they wanted to give it a chance. And hey, what do you know? There's a demo available. What could possibly be bad about that? I'm trying to be ominous. It was bad. I tend to stay away from demos in general. To me, if I'm already excited for a game, then I just want to start playing it when it comes out and not have to insert a big gap in between sessions. And if I'm not excited for a game, I don't think most demos do a good job of showcasing every reason a game might be up my alley. A perfect demo, the platonic ideal of a demo, would give you a nice vertical slice of the game. That is, at least something from every aspect of the game is represented accurately. Most demos these days are just the beginning X number of hours of the game with your save data from the demo carrying over into the full game. To my mind, that's almost never the best way to sell someone on a game. For someone who's already excited and just can't wait to get their hands on the game in some form, then sure, maybe it's nice. But for everybody else, I just don't think it often has the intended effect. The Harvestella demo definitely did not have the intended effect. There were a lot of valid criticisms about the demo. Some things took too long, and the in-game days flew by way too fast. If you played that demo and were bothered by those things, I'm happy to say they took that feedback to heart and fixed the game up before it launched. So someone like me, who never originally intended to even give the game a shot, ended up having a better experience than the people who were legitimately interested. This feels like, in part, it might be a uniquely Square Enix thing. What do I mean by that? I guess I mean that in recent years, they've put out demos and sought feedback from the gaming community for ways to make the game better. They then implement those changes and the final game benefits from it. But I kind of wonder if maybe that strategy can backfire. For most of gaming history, the purpose of a demo has been to get people interested enough to purchase the full game. The idea is to put your best foot forward and really change hearts and minds of people that are on the fence. If demos are being used as a way to get player feedback prior to the game launching, I wonder how many potential players are noping out of the finished game because of the unfinished state of the demo. It's just a thought, but it's worth considering. Maybe more extensive beta or focus group testing would be a better way to get feedback before putting a fully polished demo in front of players. What do you think? I'm kind of torn on this. I do like some elements of I like the fact that they're listening to feedback, but I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. The Switch was and is the runaway console success of the last few generations. The only console that can claim to have more sales is the PlayStation 2, and even then, some people dispute Sony's claim that it's still sold more PS2s than the Switch. Every time the Switch hits a new milestone, Sony seems to find a bunch of sales figures that were lost in the back of the closet that they bring out to show off. But putting your game on the Switch is an extremely smart business move, and that's why most companies did it. However, in the case of Harvestella, Square Enix only put the game on the Switch, and the PC as well, of course. But I mean, Switch console exclusivity for a standalone JRPG experience, a brand new IP, feels like an odd choice. I mean, if Nintendo financed it, then sure. But that doesn't seem to be the case. A timed exclusivity would be fine too, assuming that Nintendo at least put up some money for that to happen. But again, it's been 3 years and there hasn't been a peep about other console ports. I'm not saying Switch exclusivity kept Harvestella from success all on its own, but it's a piece of the puzzle, and withholding the game from at least the PlayStation 5, home to so many other Square Enix titles, I don't know, man, it just feels odd. And Xbox as well. I know I don't talk about it much, but it'd have been nice to see it there too. It clearly already runs on Windows, so I can't imagine it would be too big of a leap. If nothing else, I'd love to see a remaster or something on PS5, Xbox, and Switch 2, just to give it another chance at reaching a new, bigger audience. I don't know if you remember 2022. I know I barely do. But I do remember feeling like I was drowning in Square Enix games. I mean, games in general, but Square Enix games in particular. The end of the year especially was just packed full of games from Square, and it was understandably hard to know what to focus your attention on. If you weren't a goofball obsessed with a particular game composer's music being in a game, you had a ton of other games to choose from, not even counting releases from other companies. Just to give you an idea of what was happening in that time, here are the Square Enix releases from the latter half of 2022. Live Alive on July 22nd. Voice of Cards, Beasts of Burden, and Various Daylife on September 13th. The Diofield Chronicle on September 22nd. Valkyrie Elysium on September 29th. Nier Automata the Switch version, October 6th. Star Ocean the Divine Force, October 27th. Harvestella, November 4th. Tactics Ogre Reborn, November 11th. Front Mission First Remake, November 30th. Romancing Saga Minstrel Song Remastered, December 1st. Dragon Quest Treasures, December 9th. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reborn, December 13th. By contrast, let's look at the same period this year, 2025. Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven Switch port, July 31st. Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven Xbox port, September 25th. Final Fantasy Tactics The Ivalice Chronicles, September 30th. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake, October 30th. Octopath Traveler 0, December 4th. 2 of those 5 games are just ports of a game that's a year old. They're not taking up that much mental space for people. 2 of them are remakes of a different sort. Very excellent and high-profile remakes, but generally people are going to know what they're getting with those. Octopath Zero is the only original game on the list, and even it is based on the story from the mobile Octopath Traveler game. What I'm getting at is it's a pretty quiet period for Square Enix. Sometimes I fantasize about what it would have been like if Harvestella had released during a period like this one. With so many fewer games to get in its way, it would have had a much better opportunity to shine. More people would have seen what makes it so special, and they would have been much more likely to give it a chance. I'd say the time is ripe for that remaster right now. This last one isn't nearly as big a problem as the rest, but it's worth noting. In Harvestella, you are allowed to choose male, female, or non-binary for your main character, and it determines whether characters refer to your character as he, she, or they. This infuriated some people so much that they swore off buying it for that reason alone. Now, please note that the game does not require you to choose a non-binary character. If you want to play a guy, you can choose a guy. If you want to play a girl, you can choose a girl. It's just there as an option. Honestly, I feel like it's fine to have stuff like that in games if it means more people feel welcome. I wouldn't want anyone forced into pretending to be something they're not, for one. And for another, sometimes it can just be fun to roleplay as something you're not. A lot of guys choose to play female characters when they play RPGs, and a lot of girls choose male characters. It's fine. It's an option. I don't personally think it's like woke overreach to give an option in a game. If you were forced to be non-binary, yet you could still choose every other aspect of your character, sure, that would be an overreach. But that's not what this is. I only bring this up to encourage you not to pay that particular criticism any mind. It's the sort of thing that gets drummed up by internet grifters who don't even play games. They just want to get people mad and clicking on their posts so they make more money. If you watching this right now honestly don't like the fact that there's a non-binary option, I mean, I guess I don't know what to tell you. I feel like you might care too much about things that don't really impact you. I really try not to care about things that don't impact me because there's enough out there that does, and I'm already pretty busy with all that. You know what I mean? Not trying to start a fight, and like I say, it's almost barely worth mentioning, but I only bring it up just because if someone's on the fence and they weren't entirely sure what that controversy was all about, just wanted to provide some clarity on it. Okay, I've said all the reasons I could think of as to why Harvestella just didn't connect with the audience, why it grossly undersold what it should have in my mind. Let me tell you, just briefly, why I think Harvestella is absolutely worth your time. This game has one of the coolest, most interesting, twistiest stories I've seen in JRPGs in ages. It begins with the most cliche of cliches, the silent amnesiac protagonist, but within the first 20 minutes, it begins to blossom into something so much more. The environments really show off the benefit of a strong artistic vision, because you can tell this isn't the highest polygon count you've ever seen in a game, but everything looks so freaking beautiful. It also sounds beautiful because of Go Shina's soundtrack, which has quickly risen to become my favorite soundtrack of all time. Yeah, it even edges out Chrono Cross for me now. It's that good. The combat is simple but fun, but I'll be honest, it might take a bit of getting used to. It did for me too. I wanted to play it as more of a standard action RPG at first, and it's not really like that. You can't really count on dodging out of the way of every enemy attack. You're going to take damage. You'll be managing your health with healing items and wearing enemies down by using the various job classes you can swap between. That's just how it plays. So the sooner you're able to adjust your thinking in that direction, the sooner you'll start having fun. I love all the characters, the way they interact with each other. I love how you can move each of their individual stories forward with side quests. And I love how even the side quests do so much to build out the lore and mystery of the world. I just love this game so much, you guys. And it would make me so freaking happy if you would consider checking it out for yourself. I feel like it's probably too late for a sequel or DLC or whatever. I know the director behind it is no longer with Square Enix, but regardless of whether the series continues, I just want more people to give this game a chance. The marketing was off. That's not your fault, so I'm here to tell you that despite what you may have thought, there's a very good chance this game is up your alley. So please check it out. Oh, also, I did a review of this game like 2.5 years ago. I'll link it in the description. So if you want to cringe along with me at my amateur YouTube butt trying to make a clever review, check it out. I cringed. I don't have unrealistic expectations for how this game should have performed. It's not a full-on AAA title with a budget to match. I think you could reasonably argue that maybe it should have been a $50 game instead of a $60 game, and maybe that would have helped move units too. Not everyone would have picked this game up if it was marketed better, and not everyone would have loved it. But I am 100% convinced that this game would be one of Square Enix's more widely beloved titles if it had been directed into the right hands. Let me put it like this. If you enjoy my takes on JRPGs, there's a very good chance you are one of the people this game should have reached. So please, if you can, give it a shot. This isn't a promise that it's going to be your new favorite game. Although, let me know if it is. I'm always happy to hear from other people who love it as much as I do. But it's a promise that, regardless, this is a game that is worth people's time and attention. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you wouldn't mind liking the video and subscribing if you're not. I know like 2/3 of viewers aren't subscribed, and I know YouTube kind of downplays subscribing nowadays with the whole home feed and everything, but subscribing still really helps YouTubers out in a bunch of other ways. So if you like my videos, I'd love it if you'd consider subscribing. I also have channel memberships, so if you're able to support me and the channel through that, that would be fantastic. And thanks as always to my members who are the coolest people possibly on the planet. I haven't met everyone in the world yet, but there's still a very strong chance they are. Also, check out my podcast, the JRPG Pursuit. We put out new episodes about JRPGs every Wednesday. Link is in the description. And with all that, until next time.